Hey everybody, Natalie Cutler-Welsh here. Welcome back to Fab Friday. So if you're watching this live, it is Friday, and we are diving deep today into the topic of legendary leadership. I'm super excited to have my good friend and amazing mentor for coaches, Lorraine Hamilton, with me. She's an author, she's a speaker, she's the CEO of Coach School, so she literally coaches people who want to be coaches. And today we're going to talk about that topic, which is a word that she's honed and coined, and I'm really excited about it. Welcome, Lorraine.
Hey, hi Natalie. It's so good to be here and on Fab Friday as well. So I'm really happy to be here and talking to you about this stuff.
Now, we're definitely going to have to dive into the topic of hair at some point on this call because, you know, of your hair and my new hair. Last week, if you guys missed the episode last week, we did dealing with disappointment, and we did spend a little bit of time talking about my hair, but we'll get to that later. So, hey, I want to just dive straight in. You know, leadership at the moment is, I think, super crucial. I think it's always crucial, but I love the way that you talk about legendary leadership. Can you break that down for us? Like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's something that has become apparent over years and years of working with people, and we're all leaders in our own lives. I think when we think about leadership, we think about organizations and people leading teams or leading businesses. We're all leaders in our own lives, and some of us are more successful than that than others. Okay, so whether we are leading a team of our colleagues or clients, or even in our family or friends, and even if you're reluctant, you are still a leader. And legendary leadership, if I was to define legendary leadership, it's about choosing the temporary discomfort of change over the permanent discomfort of staying where you are. So it's about doing the work yourself so that you can then be a beacon for others. So it's about making bold decisions, being authentic and genuine, and that becomes quite magnetic. So it's not just for leaders of organizations, it's for everyone.
And do you feel like some people, especially when times get tough, you know, and they have to be resilient or they have to be agile, do some leaders just kind of not make changes? Like they kind of just, I just want everything to stay the same. They maybe go into paralysis. Is that what you see?
I see that in individuals for sure. And we're hardwired to do that, right? We're the safest place for us is to stay exactly where we are. So that's what we're hardwired to do at an instinctive level. So yes, we resist change. Even if we logically want change, that's what makes it difficult. That's why there is a coaching industry. That's why we need mentors, we need guides. It's because just because you want change doesn't mean that it's easy for everyone to be able to make that change. So yes, absolutely. When things get scary, and we've been through some scary stuff recently, collectively, so we've had that experience collectively, but on a day-to-day basis, change can be really scary, and so we revert back to what we know because that's the safest place for us.
Hey to Steph, we've got a couple people watching live. Hi, Steph. Thanks for joining us. So if you guys are watching live or the replay, do let us know where you are. Lorraine is in Wellington. I am in Auckland, even though we've got a whole range of accents going on. So we're quite international today.
For sure.
One of the things I love talking about, you know, this week, I actually, in my live stream, we talked about wealth mindset. You know, I love talking about emotions and particularly kids. Do you think we can mentor our kids to be legendary leaders, you know, as from children onwards?
Oh, I would love to see that. I would absolutely love to see that. I mean, I just had a conversation that I have regularly with a client who's, you know, in a tough spot right now. And what I see that we get stuck into this thought pattern of, I shouldn't feel sad, I shouldn't feel angry, I shouldn't feel scared. And really the great opportunity that we have with our kids and with ourselves is allowing ourselves to feel those feelings without trying to change them. So kids absolutely have got an opportunity to become legendary leaders. The sooner we can teach them that feelings are feelings and emotions are emotions. And just as you don't experience happiness with the constant thought of, how am I going to stop being happy? Oh, I need to do something to stop being happy. But we do that with those more painful emotions like fear, anger, sadness. We try and we're in it thinking, how do I get out of it?
Mm.
And actually, if we just stopped and felt that discomfort and allowed ourselves to feel that discomfort and feel it dissipate and
Yeah.
recognize that, you know, we can survive this, then you're actually in a really good spot to go, okay, now what do I need to do? But we try and do it at the same time. And if we can teach our kids that all emotions are just emotions and feelings and that they go up and then they come down, then they are going to be legendary leaders.
That's nice. It's such a good foundation. Um, and I love the fact that you talk about the S word as well, should, because everyone knows that I'm obsessed with helping people get out of the should zone. So it sounds like your client was firmly entrenched in the should zone, feeling like she shouldn't own those emotions and she should be the opposite. But you're right. We have to acknowledge how we feel. So let's talk a little bit about, you use the phrase Technicolor, living your life in Technicolor. I know personally, because you've told me you literally get clients because of your hair. Like you have this pink, purple, tipped blonde hair and people come to you because of it. So can we talk about what does that mean, living life in Technicolor? and if there's a story behind the hair, we'd love to hear it.
Oh, yeah, there's a story about the hair. So the first time I dyed my hair, it was to keep people away. So, I dyed my hair and it was like, this is my barrier. I'm afraid of you. Just don't come near me. Don't talk to me. It was all about hiding.
It wasn't
And
look at me. It wasn't like
no,
attention. Yeah.
no, it was much more, one of those scary dinosaurs or something with that pop up behind and say, stay away from me, I'm scary. That was really the thought process behind it the first time that I dyed my hair. And then I realized that, I quite like having a bit of color and it was a bit of fun. But you're right, people hire me because of my hair. They've actually told me that they hired me because of my hair. And I'm like, really? I have all this experience. I have all these qualifications. I have all this substance and all this stuff. And it's like, why did you hire me because of my hair? And they said, because it tells me everything that I need to know about you. It tells me that you're bold, you're authentic, you're genuine, you're not afraid to live your life the way that you want to live it. And that's exactly what living in Technicolor means. It's about being 100% yourself, because there's so many, and I do work mainly with women, but not exclusively, and I see it mainly with women though. They're doing really, really well on the face of it, but underneath, they just don't feel successful. So they've done all the right things. They've broken through the glass ceilings. They've broken down barriers. They have made traditional steps towards success, but actually inside they're so conflicted. They're like, oh, I don't feel like I'm being a good enough mom. Oh, I don't feel like I'm being a good enough boss. Oh, I don't feel like I'm doing very well in my career. I feel a bit like an imposter. All of that stuff is going on, and it's keeping them living in the grey. So it's keeping them living in these shades of grey. But when you step into living your life 100% as yourself, making those bold decisions, being genuine, being authentic, Andrea's put in the chat authenticity. When you step into that, that's what I call living life in Technicolor. It's like someone switched the lights on and suddenly you're in full Technicolor. And that is really the foundation of legendary leadership. It's where you become magnetic. People look at you and they just go, oh, I just want to be around that person. I want to know where they're going.
Yeah, definitely. And are you seeing specifically now some people, rise up and kind of feel more comfortable? I mean, it's interesting, during lockdown, I've been thinking about dyeing my hair for 2 years. And I was doing a webinar the other day and it was all about mindset and motivation. And I used my hair as an example. And I said, you know what? A year and a half ago, I was going to go to Canada for the first time, and I think in about 12 or so years that I haven't been back. And I was like, I don't want to go back with red hair because people remember me with blonde hair. So that was my weird rationale. And then my latest rationale was, I don't think my dad will like it. Isn't that interesting? I'm 46. I'm like, I don't know, what if my dad doesn't like my hair? So I actually, but it was lockdown, that I'm like, you know what? I haven't seen people for so long. I'm just going to life is for living. Do you think sometimes people need a catalyst before they can actually break through into that Technicolor? Or, what is it that helps them to get there? If people go, I want to do that. I want to live my life in Technicolor. How do they do that?
That is such a big question. And it really, my brain's going 100 miles an hour in how to answer this question. One thing that's sticking out to me is I'm seeing it in some of my colleagues and how they're showing up in what's going on right now in terms of Black Lives Matter. And I'm seeing these people really step into a leadership role and going, do you know what? I can't ignore this anymore. So for some people, it's that uncomfortable sense of purpose. And again, it's about getting into that discomfort and being uncomfortable temporarily so that they can move through it. In the same way, and you know, and it can be something like dyeing your hair as well. It's like, well, I'm going to be uncomfortable because I'm putting myself out there. I'm actually making a difference. People are going to look at me and go, that's different. And you're opening yourself up to scrutiny, but they both come from the same place of you're risking your safety. This is whether it's your hair color or whether you're standing up for Black Lives Matter, you're actually risking your safety, and that's where it comes from. So when you understand that, that's really the foundation, and then we can start to look at the things that shift the scales in favor of you making the change that you want to make. So I'll often say that the discomfort of staying where you are has to outweigh the discomfort of what you need to do. It's all about the discomfort. I'm sorry, there's no way around the discomfort. There's always an element of discomfort in change. So really those people who are willing to get uncomfortable, that's the first step into stepping into that Technicolor life, which is like leading to the legendary leadership. And people have been over lockdown. I think a lot of people have been questioning, and questioning is a good place to start. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, it is good. It's definitely a good stepping stone for people. I wanted to just go back to something you said earlier when you talked about the women and they're not feeling successful. What is this? Is it their version of success? Because one of the things I see is people moving goalposts, you know, and I always talk about, remember to celebrate your wins, you know, in business or in life. And because if you don't, you just move on to the next thing. You don't feel that joy and really acknowledge your achievements. Do you see that women are often moving the goalposts so they never get to success? Or is it that success, when they get there, isn't what they thought it would be?
I'm really wishing that Jess was on this call, because she would be the expert in this spot, because I see it as imposter syndrome. It's not, they never allow themselves to stay still and enjoy where they've reached, because they're like, someone's going to find me out. I just need to keep going.
Right.
Yeah, so it's the echoes back. So yeah, it's not about not necessarily enjoying success so much as what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing. If I don't keep going, am I going to lose it all?
Yeah. And I guess that whole thing about not being found out, that comes back to the Technicolor side of things, like, what will people think of me? You know, you're still not fully expressing yourself because you feel like you can't be who you are, because then they'll find out. So that's an interesting piece as well.
Yeah, and it's also the definition of success. You know, I'm talking about people who are traditionally successful. You know, they've got the promotion and they've ticked all the boxes and they've done all the things. Is that really what success means to you? Because without doing that personal discovery work and understanding what is most important to you, what are your values, what are your beliefs, you know, are you compromising in order to get this this cookie cutter success? What is it actually giving you? And I think that's where a lot of my clients find themselves. It's like, well, I did all the right things, you know, I went to the right school and I got the right degree and I got the right job and I found the right partner and I had the right, and I've got the right house and I've got but I still feel empty inside. What did I do wrong?
So that's a great question for people that are watching us. What does success look like to you? Or I would say, what does it feel like usually? Because I think it is very much a feeling. So if you are bold enough to share, go ahead and put a comment, or at least if you've got a piece of paper and pen beside you, make a note for yourself. Like, what does success look like or feel like to you? Because I think you're right. We sometimes get just do it. We just get busy doing the do. And lockdown was such a great time. You know, by the way, the teens call it ISO, like isolation.
Oh yeah.
So if you hear someone say, "Oh, like how was ISO?" That means isolation in the teen speak. But yeah, I call it lockdown. But during lockdown, a lot of people had time, like you said, to reflect, to reevaluate what is important to me, and you know, going back, I guess, hopefully some people stepping into leadership in a different way. So another question I've got: why is it so important then to be a leader? You know, for people to be a leader, specifically in times of change.
Well, I think we touched on this earlier, on the feeling safe, and that change is not something that we're actually designed to do. We're designed to just stay where we are because that's safe, and then we survive. We're not really designed to change. So being a leader in this space means that you are setting an example and being a role model for something that is difficult for other people to do. Because how many times have you tried to do something, and as you set out to do it, self-sabotage, procrastination, all of these things start to get in the way. But being a leader in times of change is being that role model and showing people that it is possible. And then sort of, I call my coaching side by side. It's like, I'm just going to walk by your side and help you do it too.
Mm. One of the phrases I use a lot is having dust yourself off ability. And, you know, with my doTERRA team, we talk a lot about leadership. And I feel like one of the qualities of leadership is to be able to stand up and speak up for what you believe in, which is what you talked about with the Black Lives Matter or whatever the issue might be, but also having the, I guess, humility or even the confidence to admit when you're wrong. Do you feel like both of those are important traits for a legendary leader?
Absolutely. And the more you know yourself, the easier it is to do those things. Because when you really know yourself and you know what you stand for and you know what makes you you, then it's really easy to defend. No one can really attack that, or it's easier for you to stick up for yourself. Whereas, you know, if you're trying to play a part, to be something that you're not because you think other people want you to be that way, it's really that, you know, that's a weak house of cards. It doesn't take much for that to be knocked down.
And it sounds exhausting as well.
It is incredibly exhausting. So being yourself and really stepping into what's most important for you is laying a foundation for you to be able to defend that position, and that's really attractive. People love that. It's like, oh, even if they don't agree with you, then you know they can really respect you for that. So yeah, I'm just checking. So Andrea's got another comment. Yeah, when you admit when you're wrong, you can't grow if you can't be honest and have integrity. And yeah, 100%. I love being wrong. You know, I love it because then I learn and I grow and I move on and I develop and my outlook changes. And you know, I've got a science background, so I'm very happy to be wrong and be presented with data, and I'll shift my viewpoint. But I can always come back to what's most important to me, and what's most important to me is being honest and being truthful and being in my integrity. For other people, they have different values, but when you know them, then you can always come back to them. And I call that my moral compass. That's how I know where I'm going in life. It's how I make decisions. It's, you know, it's knowing that is really important. And it almost takes me back to if we've got a minute or two.
Oh yeah.
The moment that I really acutely experienced stepping into this discomfort and coming out the other side. And at the time I had a really big job in 2 Degrees Mobile in New Zealand. So I was responsible for the whole network from Taupo South, and I had a team, and it was a big job, and I also had my business on the side, and that was fine. And my parents were coming over from Scotland for 6.5 weeks. They just rang me up and said, oh yeah, we're coming. And I was like, okay. And I didn't have any annual leave left. So I was like, well, they're going to come and I'm not going to see them. so what do I do here? I've got the nice, safe, very well paid job that kind of pays our bills and does all the things it's supposed to do. I've got this business, which is great, but it's not making that kind of money yet. And what do I do? And that was my moment of abject discomfort. It was like, I know the right thing to do is to leave my job so that I have this time with my parents when they're here. And it was really, really difficult to do. And I sat in that discomfort and I sobbed. I remember sitting in the kitchen and I just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. There was no easy way. There was no way around this. But I left my job and I had the time with my parents and I've grown my business and it's bigger and better than my job was. And it was the right thing to do because it was the last time I ever saw my dad.
Wow.
So that's my foundation. It's like, trust your gut, trust what the right thing is to do. And sometimes it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah, and well, that is big and bold. I imagine you were thinking of leaving it anyway, right? It wasn't just that they were coming over. That was like the last straw type thing.
Yeah. I mean, I flip-flopped for a long time because, hey, I really loved my career and I really loved my business. And so when one was hard, I could get lost in the other one. And yeah, I could hide. But yes, so it was the last straw.
You have this wealth of background. One of the things we haven't mentioned is that you are an engineer, but by training as well. So you bring all these skills and all this experience. I want to talk a little bit about Coach School. So can you tell us a little bit about how that works? And then I want to also, how can people find you online to follow you and that type of thing?
Sure. Okay. So Coach School is a multi-modality coach training program. So what does that mean? It means that I teach a number of different models and coaching approaches. It's not just one approach, and it's much more of a mentorship than it is like a coach training course. So we're accredited by the International Coaching Federation, which is important because it means that it's a quality training, but it's really tailored to the individual. So I work really closely with my students to make sure that they're getting the training that they need, that they're able to apply it to their real world circumstances, and they're be able to be a masterful coach and really make a difference, because that's my legacy work, right? My legacy work is when my students go out and they do their legacy work with their clients. I mean, the ripple effect of that is just mind-blowing.
I love that. That's what I call amplifying your impact. So good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I absolutely love Coach School. You can find it at coachschool.academy. We have a couple of programs that suit you, whether you're just stepping into that leadership space or if you want to be a professional coach and make it your career.
And you had a free webinar, I remember, a few months ago on your website. Is that still available?
It is. So that's how to manage stress in uncertain times. It is currently still
mentioning now.
Yeah, I guess so. So it really dives a little bit deeper into the how of what we've been talking about today. So and why being a leader is important in times of change. So it really looks at how to deconstruct your stress responses and also understand other people's stress responses so that you can get some really good win-win outcomes. And I've used a lot of that over lockdown with having teenagers in the house, as I'm sure you have as well, Natalie.
Well, that would be perfect. What I'll do, you guys that are watching, is I'll get the link from Lorraine. We'll put it in the comments as well. Because obviously, like I said, some people, they'll go into paralysis or they'll go over analysis, and just giving them tools and strategies that I know that you use in your coaching program for anyone, they're a leader in their own life, for them to use to be more empowered. Thank you, Sonia, for your comment as well. Ooh, as one of Lorraine's students, I can't scream loud enough how fabulous she is and how lucky I am to be part of her coaching world. Ooh, ooh, nice.
Well, I mean,
I can tell, you know what? It's so funny because I can tell just by looking at you. And I mean, I've known you for, almost a year now. You just seem like a really fun person to work with as well. Like, imagine being one of your students. Like, imagine you'd be super fun as well.
I don't think I'm not in a position to comment about that. I don't think, but I think what I bring is very much yes, this is how to learn how to do something right, but let's apply it to the real world and what your circumstances are going to be and how to make it work for you. Because I really want my students to be able to take their skills and and practically use them to make change. It's not just about getting a certificate or ticking a box. It's about being successful, being the change, and being a legendary leader.
Oh, yay. The best mentor, love, fun, and authentic. Very nice. Thank you, ladies, for your comments. All right. Hey, Lorraine, anything else that you want to add around the topic of today, legendary leadership during times of change? Any final thoughts or to wrap up?
I think that, if you're feeling uncomfortable with this, then you're in exactly the right place. And there's lots and lots of layers to this. So don't be afraid to start getting curious about where you can start. And we talked about coach school. Maybe the better place for us to get you guys to land is my personal website, which is lorrainehamilton.net, where you can access all of that stuff. The webinar is there. There's some more information on legendary leadership, and the coach school stuff is there too. So and reach out if you're curious about what it means and what it could look like and what it means for you. Then definitely reach out and let's have a conversation. I'm quite approachable.
Yes, indeed. Amazing. And I know we were just beforehand talking about, in the future, I was going to do some live events, Up Your Brave events. So I might be calling on you to maybe be one of my guest speakers if we do something in the future.
Oh, I would love to, that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, Steph is commenting. Yeah, please do go ahead and comment, you guys. If you have any other questions that come up for Lorraine, obviously she can come back and see the recording and she can comment on those things as well. Steph Johnston says, regarding success, I agree. It's about being authentic to yourself, and that too, with your attitudes, your values, beliefs, and key relationships. In work, ideally, you want to wrap it around what you're passionate about, and it leaves some sort of legacy. I think I would like to say, I talk a lot about impact. Maybe not everyone wants to have like an impact, but I think we all want to make a difference in some way using our own unique gifts and talents. And I think, that's maybe what part of the legendary leadership is. People just being them true selves, making the impact that they were born to make.
Absolutely. And, I love Steph's description there. It's beautiful and perfect. And I see that in a lot of the women that I work with are very high up in their jobs, so in their organizations. And sometimes they can feel a little bit disconnected to the impact that they're making in the world because they're now so immersed in the organization rather than having the end user and the end result. But by being a legendary leader and helping your team, it is like having that impact again because you're developing your people.
Yeah, I've got my people walking right through my video.
I see that. I see that. But we just kept going. That's what we did.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Lorraine, for joining us today. That's so amazing to hear your thoughts. I love this concept. I think, everyone is a leader, in their own home, in their own marriage, in their own family, in their own job. And thank you for the tips you shared today.
Thanks, Natalie. Always a pleasure.
All right. Awesome, guys. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Fab Friday. Bye.